The last stage of the 5 E's instructional model is evaluate. And I think of evaluate as a teacher, I want to figure out what did kids learn, but then I also want this to be part self-evaluation. What did they learn about themselves and their understanding of key concepts as a result of moving through this lesson? And just as a caveat, even though I'm using the word lesson to describe this experience, depending on how extensive the various tasks are, this lesson might span a day, multiple days, a week. It could span multiple weeks, depending on how much you're asking kids to do at each stage. So, in this final stage, I want to collect some formative assessment data. I want to figure out, what do kids know after having gone through this exploration and this investigation. And so I might use a tool like quizzes or Kahoot, or if you use a learning management system like Schoology, maybe running a quick quiz through your learning management system, or even running a Google form as a quiz to collect some quick data. Those people who like Socrative, you could collect data using something like that, which is similar kind of to Kahoot. So lots of different ways to collect quick data to figure out who's really has a strong understanding of the key concepts covered and who's going to need a little bit more support, more review, potentially more reteaching. I also want the evaluate stage to be a moment in the learning cycle where kids slow down and think about, what did I learn? How did I learn it? What misconceptions did I have when I started this particular lesson? And what do I still want to figure out or know, or what questions do I still have? And so I've highlighted a lot of tools in the last 4 or 5 videos, but I want to really draw your attention to just the simple exit ticket. I am a big fan of coming up with kind of like a standard exit ticket where you're asking kids to evaluate the lesson. And it's part evaluating their grasp of the concepts in the lesson, but it also is designed to give you some feedback as the educator about the lesson itself, because I want to figure out what kids really enjoy and they respond to so that I can replicate those strategies and technology tools in future lessons. So this exit ticket asks students to begin by just telling me, how confident do you feel about the material that you covered in this lesson? Not confident, extremely confident, where do you fall on that spectrum? I ask them to identify a concept that they learned in this lesson and then explain to me, how did you learn it? Describe your process. And this is very metacognitive. They have to kind of slow down and think about, okay, how did I learn that? What was really useful in this lesson for me in terms of understanding this particular concept? I also asked them to revisit what they knew coming into the lesson. And then where were the kind of misconceptions or misunderstandings that they had when they entered the lesson that have been corrected as a result of moving through the lesson? I will often ask them which stage of the lesson was their favorite, as that's super interesting for me, because if everybody says they loved the explore stage, well then I know that the strategies I used at that stage I want to replicate and I want to use again because the kids really enjoyed it. I ask them what questions they have. Even though we finished the lesson, their questions can help me to figure out, what do I need to review? Where do we need to go from here? Or are there a group of kiddos I need to scoop up and maybe try to pull into a synchronous online session for just a little reteaching and review? And then I always ask, what would you like to spend more time kind of learning about, practicing, or reviewing? You advocate as a learner for what you need. And then I also leave it open, like, do you have any additional feedback about the lesson and how it can be improved? Because I constantly want students to know I am iterating on my process. I'm looking to improve their learning experiences, and their feedback is really the best way to do that.